I did start my bodybuilding journey as a bigger girl. Yeah, I lost about 30 kilos to get here. I would just scroll social media all the time and I would see these fantastic, strong women everywhere. And I would find myself for hours just looking at them going, wow, I wish that I could be them. What is holding me back from being that person that I'm idolizing so much? And then I realized, oh, it's me. So instead of idolizing the stranger on social media that I've never met, I'm going to become my idol. So I just went all in.
Welcome back to the Comp Closet podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Sarah Moore, and today I am chatting to an outstanding athlete who is a 3-time pro bodybuilder, and she's currently just 1 month out from stepping on stage in the FMG Pro show on the Gold Coast. Shauny Hamon, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
No worries. I'm so intrigued to hear more about your journey. So let's start with, how long have you been competing in bodybuilding for?
So I started competing all up. It's been 6 years, but I did have a 3-year build when I swapped federations. So I knew that I had to come a little bit bigger, a little bit fuller, and that only comes with time and reps and time in the gym. So had that 3-year stint. So I still was bodybuilding, just not competing in that 3-year. So 6 years altogether, 3 years on the stage.
Yeah, amazing. That is still quite a bit of experience. Before you started bodybuilding, were you into like sports, fitness, the gym?
I was, as a youngster, so I went into athletics and I was on the Southeast Brisbane team for high jump and sprints. So I loved athletics, but then as a teenager, I kind of fell out of all of that. And I gained quite a significant amount of weight. So I did start my bodybuilding journey as a bigger girl. So currently I'm about 60, fluctuating, about 65 kilos. When I started, I was pushing about 90. So yeah, I lost about 30 kilos to get here.
Wow, that is quite a big difference. Did you initially kind of get into the gym and things to lose a bit of weight, or did you use bodybuilding as kind of motivation to lose that weight?
Oh, so I got into the gym, initially to lose the weight. And then I had people coming up to me saying, oh, are you competing? And at that stage, I didn't know what competing meant. And I was like, oh, no, I don't know what that is. They're like, oh, yeah, you're doing a bodybuilding show. And I was like, oh, no, should I? And they're like, yeah, you'll do really well. And I was like, okay. So, yeah, then after about a year of losing weight by myself in the gym, I approached a coach and jumped on board.
Amazing. So was getting a coach the first step that you took when you thought, okay, I definitely want to compete?
Yeah. So there's a few coaches around in Tassie. So I did shop around first just to make sure, because once I heard what competing was, I was very much invested into doing my research into it. And so I shopped around for coaches, see who I meshed with. As soon as I walked into my coach that I've got now, who I've been with for 6 years, straight away it was just, okay, this is the one. And yeah, it was awesome. He didn't also didn't judge me for being on the bigger side and having these big goals and wanting to step into bodybuilding. It was just full support since the moment I stepped into his office, and that made me so much more comfortable starting the journey.
Yeah, amazing. And did you have any other reasons for competing other than people just saying that you should give it a go?
Yes, I'm going to be completely transparent and so honest right now. I would sit there and I would just scroll social media all the time and I would see these fantastic, strong women everywhere. And I would find myself for hours just looking at them going, wow, I wish that I could be them. Like, what is holding me back from being that person that I'm idolizing so much? And then I realized, oh, it's me. I'm the reason I'm not like that. So instead of idolizing the stranger on social media that I've never met, I'm going to become my idol. So I just went all in.
Yeah, I think that is so refreshing to hear for anyone listening who's at the start of their journey, because they probably think the same about you. You know, they'll be looking at you on social media and idolizing you and your like incredible physique and work ethic and all of that. So I think that's so cool for them to hear that you started somewhere as well. What would you say like was the biggest struggle for you when you first started competing or you first started your first prep?
I think the first thing was not understanding how much actually goes into bodybuilding. I had a very naive mind thinking that it's just healthy eating and, doing a workout. It's not. It's scientific eating and training purposefully. So that was quite eye-opening. And also because I didn't have any muscle maturity. I was young, fresh into the gym. It was very sore. It was a very sore time. I was very, had a lot of, lactic acid. I was very like DOMS every day. But that was probably the main thing. And then being so restrictive, because I hadn't been restrictive before, I didn't really understand what level the restrictiveness can get to, which can be overwhelming for your first time. Um, Knowing like, oh, I can't eat that. And I didn't realize like, okay, an apple could actually send me backwards, when really outside of the bodybuilding scene, an apple is like, oh, have one a day. No, not here.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize is, you know, it is obviously such an extreme sport. Do you have any advice for someone who is struggling with that restriction or that transition into like actually tracking every single gram of food?
Yeah, I think the best thing to do is not to think that this is forever. Focus on what the goal is. This is the main thing that gets me through, because I'm human, everyone's human. We have temptations. We see the TikToks of someone making some awesome food, some cheese pull, and I'm sitting there just, But think of, okay, so I can have 5 minutes of satisfaction, or I can reach a lifelong goal. But if I have that 5 minutes of satisfaction, this disappears. And then I've got to start the process over again. So at my very first prep, coming towards the end of it, I actually started writing down how many days I had left on my hand, just to remind myself, look down, right, I've got 13 days. In 13 days, I can have as many cheese pulls as I want. It's just 13 days.
Yeah, I think that helps me as well, like putting it in perspective how, I guess, short of a time period prep actually is compared to the rest of your life and the rest of, I guess, your fitness journey. Like you have so much more time to enjoy food and things outside of prep. It's just such a short little temporary period when you need to be that little bit more restrictive. And it's so worth it when you step on stage, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely agree.
So, what shows have you done then in your 6 years of competing?
So I started with ICN. I did ICN Muscle Models Show in Hobart, Tasmania. I then did the ICN Tasmanian State Titles. I then went to IFBB and I did IFBB Bikini. I then came back to ICN, did ICN State Titles again, went to Nationals, did ICN State Titles again, went to Nationals again, and that's where I went double pro.